This is Rock and Roll English. Real people, real English.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Rock and Roll English. In today's show, I speak to Dan the Man, obviously, and we speak about cycling to work because tomorrow, if you didn't know, is International Cycle to Work Day. So we look at why you should cycle to work. We talk about many things such as Rocky Balboa, Dan putting potatoes in his mouth, and me nearly killing an old man. But when you listen to that story, just remember it was definitely his fault, okay? He didn't look. That will make sense when you hear the story. Anyway, enjoy the show. Dan the Man, how are you today?
I'm good, how are you?
I was terrible, but now speaking to you, Dan, I feel fantastic, okay?
Sure.
So thanks for asking. Okay, so you know what to do, Dan, yeah? What comes first on the Rock and Roll English?
The reviews, I think.
Exactly. Finally, you're starting to learn the structure of the show, Dan. Okay, so today we have a review from R.E. Ale London 2016. And the title of the review is Super Cool, which I quite like. And it says, "These podcasts are very nice and useful. Thanks, guys, for making my commute less boring." Nice bit of rock and roll English there as well. Commute. So what is a commute, Dan?
When you're travelling to work.
Yes, exactly. We call it a commute, or it can be a verb. You can commute to work. They are actually the ones that make me most happy because I know how a commute to work can be very boring. And I also used to listen to podcasts in the past on my commute to work. So to make you happy on that boring commute makes us feel great. Hey, Dan.
Yeah, I've only ever listened to podcasts on the toilet, so it's a...
Thanks for that. Thanks for sharing that, Dan.
I'd be interested to know if anyone listens to us on the toilet.
Good question.
Hopefully someone will leave a review and let you know.
If you listen on the toilet or you have listened on the toilet, let us know. We are always happy to hear from you. Okay, actually, the commute to work connects quite nicely to the topic of today's show because tomorrow is Cycle to Work Day. Okay, so we're going to look at why you should cycle to work. Look at a few reasons and then some statistics again that will blow your mind, a bit like last episode. And remember, it's like that will really surprise you. Okay, Dan, so do you cycle to work?
No, I don't have a bike.
You also don't have a job at the moment, so...
Oh, I'm moving, yes.
Quite difficult for Dan to cycle to work. He has no bike and he has no job, but, you know... Yeah. He listens to podcasts on the toilet, though, so, you know, that's...
Yeah. Why am I single?
Yeah. In fact, maybe we will do a podcast soon about Dan the Man's move. He's moving to France, just in case anyone's interested, and we will talk about it another time. Okay, but I cycle to work. Thanks for asking, Dan. And I have been cycling to work now for... I don't know, 3 years, because it's the same time I've been in Palermo. And that I have been cycling, present perfect continuous, Dan. Started in the past. Is it finished?
No.
Exactly, still in progress. Okay, so let's have a look at the first reason of why you should cycle to work. Okay, because you are more likely to get sick taking public transport, according to Nottingham University. 6 times more likely. Because, you know, other people have illnesses, like disgusting illnesses, and you can get sick. So that's probably where you got your sickness, Dan, that you had for like 1 month.
I walk to work. I didn't get public transport. I'm not...
Well, you should have cycled. So there, you should have connected speech, Dan. You should have cycled. Because remember, it's a past action now. We can't change it. So if you had cycled to work, Dan, you know, you wouldn't have got sick. Third conditional, that, Dan. That is rock and roll. If you had cycled, you wouldn't have got sick. But you didn't. So next time, if you ever get a job again, maybe you can.
Or a bike.
Or a bike, yeah. Another thing, though, it doesn't mention is that people are more likely to pick your pocket on a bus. What does it mean if someone picks your pocket, Dan?
To steal from you.
Yes, like to literally put their hand into your pocket and steal something. That happened to me once on a bus in Palermo. Someone tried to pickpocket me, and I saw him. I moved his hand.
Did you not feel him?
Yeah, so I moved his hand, but it was a big man, and I didn't really know what to do. So I just sort of moved his hand, and then I felt like saying sorry to him. I don't know why.
Sorry for catching you.
Yeah, sorry for stopping you stealing from me. But anyway, okay, so the next one is that you will never have to worry about finding a parking space, Dan.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is useful. Although that's not true because, especially in London, so many people cycle now that it is actually difficult to find somewhere to lock your bike. But do you know what the solution to that is, Dan?
Go on, tell me.
Get a foldable bike.
Oh,
do you know anyone
God.
that has a foldable bike?
Yes, you, because you're a tit.
When he says that you're a tit, that's also, he's using it as an insult in this, but obviously he's talking about women's breasts, tits. Yeah. So thanks, Dan.
It's not a sexist comment. It's just...
It's not. It is actually a comment that men and women use. You say, you're a tit. You're an idiot. When I say a foldable bike as well, I mean one that you can close, which I take with me everywhere. And it still amazes me how people have never seen one because, I will be opening it in the street and someone says, oh, I've never seen a bike like that before. And I think, it's 2017. A bike that can close is not such an amazing invention. But thanks for the comment anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so it says that you won't get stuck in traffic jams. And I don't know why we say traffic jams instead of just traffic, because it's really the same.
I've got no idea.
Because there is no jam in the traffic. You can't eat jam. It's just we say a traffic jam when the car's all blocked and you literally cannot move.
Well, let us find out.
I could have found out, Dan, but I just didn't do the research. But it says that, this is actually in America, that 70% of people have a journey to work which is less than 5 miles. So, that is, doable on the bike. But people don't like to do it, Dan. Okay, another one is happiness. Okay, so there's a clear correlation between cycling to work and being happy. This is probably why I am such a happy person and you are such a miserable person.
I'm starting to think you actually think you're a happy person.
I am a ray of sunshine, Dan.
You're a miserable git.
It's coming out with all the nice insults today. So a git, again, is a not very nice and very informal way to say idiot, similar to tit. But that's not true, Dan, because daily exercise here can reduce stress, depression, improve sleep, reduce anxiety, and these are just the benefits that I take every day. And it says boosts. What does it mean to boost?
To raise?
Yeah, to increase. So increase your self-confidence, okay? So that's probably why I'm such a, confident, cool guy. And you are like a strange introvert that speaks with a potato in his mouth.
I do. I took it out today, though, so hopefully...
you know what? I had a student recently say to me, so Dan talks with a potato in his mouth. I didn't think he did speak with a potato in his mouth. So, put it back, Dan. People loved it.
I'll put it back for next episode.
Yeah, maybe when you're listening to your podcast on the toilet, you can put the potato in your mouth as well. The image of you on the toilet listening to a podcast with a potato in your mouth is something which I find very enjoyable.
Okay, maybe I'll take a picture for you.
That please do, Dan. Okay, our listeners would love to see that, a picture of you. Okay, I look forward to receiving that picture. Okay, so the next one is that it increases your brain power. Okay, it says biking to work makes you smarter, which is obviously more intelligent.
Yeah, hang on. But it's not just biking to work, it's exercise. Okay.
Well, the article is about why you should cycle to work, Dan, and this is one of the benefits, okay?
But if you go to the gym for an hour a day,
it's
then...
not the same. It's
no?
not the same.
Okay.
So yeah, it keeps your mind active as well because you obviously have to pay attention to the roads a lot to obviously not have an accident. I'm going to tell you actually about an accident I had on my bike. I'm pretty sure I've told you this, Dan, but I'll tell you again so the listeners can hear. I was cycling home once and an old man was standing on the street, and when he went to cross the road, I didn't really have enough time to brake, which is obviously to stop, and I hit him like so hard it was unbelievable. I was going fast, and it was his fault though. When I say his fault, his responsibility. So I hit him, he fell over, and everybody stopped. There was a big commotion.
Didn't you have your shopping as well?
Yeah, that I forgot to mention that. To be honest, if I hadn't had my shopping, maybe I wouldn't have hit him. Another third conditional there. But I did hit him. And anyway, so I helped him up, and I was like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" He's like, yeah, I'm fine. And all the people there, as I said, there was a big commotion, which is like chaos. And anyway, so he got back up, and at this point, he started walking into a church, and I realised that my bike was broken and the wheel wasn't spinning. So I said to him, "No, excuse me." And so everyone's still looking at this. He walks back out of the church and says to me, "Yeah, what's the problem?" I said, "Oh, well, you've like broken my bike. I hate to say it, but this was your fault." And he said, "Well, what can I do?" I said, "Well, give me your phone number and I'll get my bike fixed, and then I'll call you and you can give me the money." And he said, no, just take some money now. And he gave me €60. So the embarrassing thing was everyone that just saw me nearly kill him was now seeing me take money from him. And he was about 80 as well. And then...
Did you take the money?
Well, yeah. I honestly thought like it would have cost more. I was thinking, well, I actually said to him, what if it costs 150? Anyway, so he gave me the money and I went to get it fixed the next day. And it cost me €6 to get fixed. So basically, I made a €54 profit.
For hitting an old man who was just trying to go to church.
Yes. But I feel good about that, Dan, because if it had have been a car, he would have died. Another third conditional there. It's been third conditional party this episode. So yeah, he would have died. So that was a strong lesson for him.
So in a way, you saved his life by cycling.
That's it, Dan. If anything, he should pay me more money for
I
saving
agree.
for saving his life. Other people said to me, "Did you think of giving the money to the church?" And I said,
For about a second.
About it. Yeah, I thought about it for a second, but then I thought about just spending it on something, maybe a shirt or something like that.
Well, you're a lifesaver.
Exactly. Okay, so speaking about lives, actually, another benefit is that cycling to work makes you live longer. Okay, this is according to the British Heart Foundation, a very respectable organisation. So I will probably live until, even if Dan is much older than me, I will live longer. So
well, I'm 2 months older than you, so
that is a long time, Dan. Like 60 days is a long time. Okay, it helps to save the planet. Okay, so, I'm doing my bit to save the planet. What are you doing, Dan?
I am walking to work.
Well, to your imaginary job.
Yeah. I'm walking around looking for work.
Yeah. That is very good of you, Dan.
Yeah.
But yeah, it says here vehicles give out 70% of the air pollution in the UK. So, that's just cars. 70% of all the air pollution comes from cars. So if you cycle to work, you're reducing that. And that is a statistic that, nearly blows my mind. Okay, so let's look at some other statistics and see if they blow your mind down, okay?
Okay.
So cycling in London has increased by 91% since 2003.
That's quite impressive.
Did it blow your mind?
Yeah, it did actually.
You need some time just to, relax.
Process that, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good idea. Yeah, that's really about the only statistic I have, because the other one I mentioned earlier in the show. But apparently cycling to work can also improve your sex life, Dan. Okay, so anything that can improve your sex life is certainly
Well,
something
hang on.
worth doing.
For those who listened to the last show, Martin said he would struggle. I know your mum's listening, but I have to say this. You said you would struggle to have sex once a day, so maybe you should cycle more.
When he says struggle there, he means have difficulty. I actually didn't say that. I refused to comment on the question.
Okay, well, we read between the lines.
Nice expression there, Dan, to read between the lines when you sort of, understand the situation from, let's say, missing information, something that they don't tell you, but, you understand it anyway. Another one is that it gives you a professional edge, okay, because it says 77% of people that cycle to work say they feel they are more productive at work, and they have even had a promotion because of it.
But do you not think you get sweaty cycling to work?
So remember, sweaty, to sweat is the liquid your body produces when you're hot. Adjective there, when you are sweaty. You can do, just have to cycle slowly, Dan, or wear a different shirt. I've done it before. And there's nothing wrong with a bit of sweat. It's like a manly thing. When I come in like sweating, I'm a bit like Rocky,
You're comparing yourself to Rocky Balboa.
We are very similar people, okay? Yeah. And this also might be why you're unemployed, Dan, because you didn't cycle to work and other people were cycling and they, had a professional edge over you. So when you say a professional edge, like a little bit extra.
I just want to clarify, I didn't get sacked. I've left my job because I'm moving to France.
Sure you are, Dan, sure. He says they're sacked, that's like the same as fired when they tell you to go away. But yeah, we believe you, Dan. Don't worry about that, okay? Okay, and it also helps to increase your immune system, just because it's exercise and vitamin D from the sunshine.
I saw on the news the other day, though, that people who cycle in London are far more likely to get lung disease due to all the fumes they're breathing in. So remember, lungs is like the part of your body which is, let's say, most connected to breathing, internal organ. You're going to live longer anyway, Dan. So if you get lung cancer at the end, it's not so bad. But what if you get it at the start?
Look, Dan, I haven't researched it this much to know, okay? So let's just stop asking me questions and let's just say cycling to work is great and taking a car to work is shit, okay?
Okay, agreed.
Okay, well, thanks very much for your time, Dan the Man. Remember to take that bike and send us the picture of you on the toilet with a potato in your mouth, listening to a podcast.
I actually might do it. I'll think about it.
Please do, okay? I want it. The listeners want it. Give us what we want, okay?
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Speak to you next week.
See you later. Okay, so that was Dan and me speaking about cycling and many other things. Just to let you know about the old man story, about 2 weeks later, someone hit me on my bike and I fell off. So maybe that was karma. I'm not sure. And also, I spoke to Dan the Man about this thing about the potato in his mouth, and he said he will only do it if this podcast gets 30 shares. I wanted him to agree to 10, but because he's stubborn, never changes his mind, he said 30. But we can do this, everyone, okay? I will share it on my personal one. So really, we only need 29, okay? We can do this. So please share. Anyway, let's look at some of that rock and roll vocabulary. From the review we had from RE Ale London 2016, we had the word commute, which remember is your journey to work. Can be a verb or a noun. To commute or commute, as you like. And speaking of reviews, remember, they are always nice. And we had blow your mind again, which remembers when something really surprises you. And we had pickpocket. When somebody picks your pocket is when they take things out of your pocket without you realizing it. Or even the person that does that, we call them a pickpocket. And we had foldable bike, which is, remember, a bike you can close. Obviously comes from the verb to fold, like you can fold a piece of paper in 2 or 3 or 4 as you like. Dan called me a tit, which, remember, women obviously have them, but we use it as an insult, which means like basically you're an idiot. And then he called me a miserable git, which is similar, but this is more used to describe people that are miserable, like miserable bastard. Miserable git. It's the same. And we had the word boost, which remember is increase, because cycling boosts your self-confidence. We had the verb to brake, which is what you use when you want to stop on a bike. The verb to stop with your brakes. Also in a car, when you need to go slower, you must what? Brake. And to do that, you use the brakes. So it can be a verb or a noun. And we had commotion, which is a good word. Remember, after the incident with this old man, there was a big commotion. So there was like a lot of chaos, a lot of confusion and people shouting and doing things. So a good word to describe that is commotion. We had the word struggle when Dan said that I would struggle to have sex once a day. And on that topic, no comment. I had a nice idiomatic phrase of when Dan said we read between the lines, which is when you discover a meaning that is implied instead of someone telling you exactly what it means. You understand for yourself. And we had the adjective sweaty, which obviously comes from the verb to sweat. When you get hot, there's liquid. You say, whew, I just went for a run. I am really sweaty. And we had the word sacked when Dan said he didn't get sacked. Normally it's using the passive, obviously.
Thanks so much for listening to Rock and Roll English. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit rockandrollenglish.com and facebook.com/rockandrollenglish. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks as always for listening. Remember to go to rockandrollenglish.com for the quiz with all of these words, and there is also some sexy third conditional stuff on there. Have a great weekend, and I will speak to you again on Monday. Keep on rocking.